Welcome to the Melinda Eitzen Show. I'm Melinda. Normally, we're talking about the horrors of divorce, but today we're going to talk about a horror movie instead. We're so lucky today to have with us my brother who produced a movie, the finale, and we have the writer and the director. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, sister.
So Max Hartman, my brother, Michael Federico.
Hello.
The writer, and Christie Vela, the director. Plus, you're all in the movie.
We are.
Yes,
We're
we
that egotistical.
That's right.
Well, I saw the movie twice, and I loved it.
All right.
Thank you.
I loved it. So tell me, why a horror movie?
Well,
Yeah, you go for it.
Speaking about egotistical, I mean, the idea to make, Michael and I go watch horror movies together all the time, but the idea for the horror movie came because we wanted to be in something where we played cops together.
Yeah.
We had the opportunity to play detectives together on some short film, and then we thought,
Yeah,
we make good cop partners.
I agree with that. I saw actually a comment someplace that there should be a next movie that's about the cops.
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, we love horror movies, and it was funny because this is going way back years ago. I think 2016 or 17. I can't even remember. We were all swimming together. It was
At my place.
at Christie's place. It was summer, and we were swimming. And Christie just sort of said out loud, we should make a horror movie about a musical theater camp. And I was like, man, that's a great idea. And went away and wrote some stuff. And then
we played these cops.
yeah. And then we were like, we don't know how to do this. And so we asked Max for help. And
Yeah. Well, I heard about the idea, and I wasn't lined up to be involved in it. I wanted in, because I thought this is a great idea from the pool years ago, and then he wrote an actual script. So I read like 10 pages of the script and was like, we have to meet for coffee now, So we ran and met together, and I knew some friends in the film community around here that could help point us in the right directions to find really good people, which we did. So we couldn't have done it without all of them. But and these two have a podcast together themselves called Terror and Tacos.
Yeah.
Where we talk about horror films and tacos.
Yeah. So it's always been a genre we loved, and it was, I still think it's crazy that we did it. But
I know, it seems like
it was like a dream.
It should not have happened. I mean, from that day, whenever I said that thing, to standing outside the Alamo Draft House going, how hard can it be? Well, let me tell you.
It's kind of hard.
It's the hardest, best thing I've ever done.
Oh, that's great. We have the trailer.
Oh,
so
wow.
let's watch it now.
Congratulations and welcome to Stage Left. Hundreds auditioned for these spots, but only the 8 of you were selected.
Stop. What was that?
A pot of bouret?
Really? Leave the room, all of you.
Pretty hard on for a first day.
You of all people should know the ones with actual talent require the most verbal abuse. What are you doing here?
Who is he?
Charles McMasters.
Where's he work?
Theater clinic?
Whoever did this made no effort to hide the body.
You have to listen to me. I know things that nobody else knows.
I haven't told anyone anything ever. I promise.
When we were on tour in Chicago, 2 of my castmates died in their hotel rooms. Nobody knows what happened to them.
A guy like this wouldn't just kill a man and let his work go uncredited.
Someone is trying to kill you! I just want to hear you sing one more time.
That is a great trailer.
It is.
So I'll tell you what I liked about the movie. It's scary, so if you like a good scare, but it's not too gory, because I really can't do that. And it's funny, and it actually has a social message, which surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of Christie's and my favorite things about horror movies has always been that, in our opinion, I think, I don't want to just totally speak for you, most of like our favorite horror movies do have some message to them. Whether, you know, I don't think they always hit you over the head with it, but I think horror is a great way to introduce other themes and sort of larger themes while still making something entertaining and fun. So it's something we all three of us, I think, were committed to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, horror is a great genre to talk about social ills. It's a safe way to address things without directly addressing the thing, and sometimes directly addressing the thing.
Yeah.
What's one thing that's fun about this film is it is made in Dallas with all Dallas people, and you see Dallas haunts like the Kalita Humphreys.
Theater 3.
Theater 3.
Yeah.
We filmed most of the interiors in Theater 3, I believe, where Christie is co-artistic director.
Shout out to Theater 3.
Shout out to Theater 3.
Yeah,
Quad.
and that was, I think, something too that we all three of us again talked about pretty early on. I will give a shout out to Fort Worth. There are some Fort Worth people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we
DFW.
We have all been involved in theater in DFW for a very long time, and we have gotten to meet a ton of really talented people, and all three of us are firm believers that the Metroplex, if you will, has really talented theater folks, really talented film people, and you know, there was no reason in our minds to go elsewhere, right?
Yeah, and something happened on this shoot that doesn't usually happen, and it's film people and theater people, theater talent and film talent getting together to do a thing. These were two like industries that you would think would know each other more because we're all in this community, but a lot of the film people, most of the film people didn't know any of the theater people, and the theater people didn't know any of the film people. And it was really satisfying to see people from both of these industries make connections and become friends, and watching the theater people learn how to make a movie and the film people learn how theater actors work. You know, it was really cool. We even made a love connection.
That's right.
Yeah.
Couple got married.
Yeah, they totally got married.
Couple got married. Yeah, they got married. One of the
leads
and one of the camera operators.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And this
on the
That's
film,
awesome.
They just celebrated their year anniversary a little while ago.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
Bringing people together and murdering
we
children.
take full credit for that marriage.
Well, and I think one of the first things we talked to about with Max, when Max was like, I can help you guys. Max has done both things, I think, more than a lot of us. And
Yeah,
so
that's what it blew my mind that, like Christie just mentioned, that we don't work together very much, or they don't trust theater actors. They think the theater actors are too big and broad and don't know how to act for the camera, you know?
That's because film people stopped doing theater in the 7th grade.
Yes.
when we are all doing this.
When we all were doing this.
Jazz hands.
Yeah,
It's all jazz hands.
and musicals in particular. But so it was fun to make fun of our own community within the picture, you know. We poke fun at all the different archetypes kind of, you know, in the theater world or entertainment industry at large. There's always some irresponsible adults in charge or not really in charge, you know. There's shady things going on among people in power and actors or musicians, you know. It's kind of, it happens all over, but
We are poking fun, but I think we also really wanted to indict that side of our industry, that it does happen. I mean, a lot of young people in our industry get taken advantage of because they want to be stars, because they want to go out there and make it, you know, whatever that means. And sadly, there are some folks in our industry that don't have any scruples.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the social message we're talking about, right? I don't want to give too much away, but the social message is, hey, you shouldn't use your power in the theater industry and any industry to take advantage of young people who are trying to make their way, right?
Yeah, and this is, I think, 100%. I mean, obviously it's become a huge thing over the last several years, but I mean, I think even the three of us who sort of, I guess, made our bones in the 90s, it's at least since then, and I'm sure long before then, it's been present in, I think, entertainment for forever. Because it's an easy thing to dangle in front of someone, especially someone who is talented and has, maybe the skills to quote unquote make it.
And they believe in their dreams,
Yes.
It's like, so you just add a little sugar on the dream and it just keeps them going.
Yeah, so that was definitely part of it. And then at the same time, not to get totally I don't feel like we're just lecturing people for 90 minutes or whatever.
It's super fun.
We drew a lot on, speaking of growing up in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, horror movies that we loved when we were kids, especially camp-based horror movies like Friday the 13th and stuff, where really all of a sudden adults are just terrible and never know where the kids are. So, which I know is probably different for kids growing up today, but we were
hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But we
didn't have iPhones and
Yeah.
cell phones. Nobody knew where we were. Told them, moms would just open the door of their house and go, Bill! And then you
9
go,
kids
oh,
on
there's
their
my mom, I
bikes.
gotta go. And that was about all of the keeping up with the parents had.
So we did play with that.
Gen X kind of vibe,
yeah.
It's kind of a Gen X-y film, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I
Made
mean,
by a bunch of Gen Xers.
we are what we are.
Right.
But yeah, and we got to work with, I know going back to what they were saying, really talented people on both sides of film and theater. And
It was really nice also the way the community, the connections that Max and Michael and I have in the theater community when we reached out to these people and said, hey, I would like to use the Kalita. And they were absolutely gracious and said, yes, please do. Or can we use Theater 3? And they were like, yes, please do.
Kitchen Dog Theater.
Kitchen Dog Theater.
Kim Dawson Studios.
It was like everybody got behind us.
Yeah, it was
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you get to shoot in a Frank Lloyd Wright building.
Which, by the way, City of Dallas, let's get it together. Let's take care of
I was
Rita
just
Humphreys.
reading an article about that. It's the only standalone theater that Frank Lloyd Wright
Ever
created.
Created.
It's a jewel of Dallas.
incredible.
Right?
It's on
We
Turtle
should-
Creek. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in a
It's
pleasant
beautiful.
location. With,
So Dallas is going to, I'm sure.
Yes.
Let's put a positive
yes,
But the idea,
intention.
we look forward to.
Dallas is going to restore it.
yeah, and so the help we got with the Kalita, with Theater 3, because Theater 3 is the majority of our interiors. So much of, we had really crazy talented crew, but we were able to have some art direction in a way that we would not have been able to achieve. Theater 3, the way there were murals everywhere. The Kalita is this, like we said, this Frank Lloyd Wright building. And so I think we were able to have these art design elements that just enhanced the movie in a way that we
Never could have dreamed of.
yeah, honestly,
Yeah,
if people
locations
had
and
not
kind of
helped us
everything.
the way they did, there's
Yeah.
I don't know that we would have been able to say
If we
I
try to
rent
build
me a
it.
Frank Lloyd Wright building, Max.
Yeah, rent that, or let's rent the Dallas Theater Center or something. I mean, yeah, it's we were grateful, and the production value that gives is great,
And for Dallas viewers, Dallas Fort Worth viewers, to see something familiar in the film that they would recognize, and they'll be like, I've been there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. As the director and someone who sat in the editing bay every day from beginning to end, and you watch it over and over and over again, it's difficult for me sometimes to watch the movie because I know where I wish I had something else, or I didn't get that footage, or whatever. But I like to imagine that people in Dallas watching the movie are going, that is not part of that building, and I know how they cut that together.
Right.
But everywhere else, nobody would know that that's not the lobby of this theater, or or that theater,
That
or
we
whatever.
sort of Frankenstein.
Yeah,
That
the
we
basement.
Frankenstein to theater
we go
together.
downstairs to basically end up upstairs, and then go downstairs again.
Yeah.
A lot of
Nobody
fun
knows that.
stuff.
No one knows that.
Yeah.
I mean, we do, but
That's the
who
magic
cares?
of movies,
That's
kids.
But we did
making
have
magic.
and we also had a really great day at the farm.
Oh, yes.
Part of this was not just shooting in the theater, but having the feel of being at a summer
woods.
summer camp woods
Yeah.
movie. And so we were able to shoot at Honeycutt Farm, and
Because-
we had some adventures
Yeah.
there,
And-
and it was a lot of fun.
And we got the Garden Cafe. Because I don't know if
Yeah, shout out to the
I don't know
Wooten
if you know
family.
this. Your brother knows everyone.
Yes.
Good to be connected.
Yeah, old Dale Wooten Wooten loaned us the Garden Cafe for the detectives' favorite diner spot they go to late at night to solve the crimes. And then Honeycutt Farms of space they had. So it's at the house is kind of an old, creepy looking house on a hill, like in horror movies. So the kids used that as where they stayed at night.
But the interior of that creepy farmhouse is my house.
Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful.
But so it really was between everybody, I know it's like a love letter. It is a little bit of a love letter to DFW, and so many people helped us around town. And I don't know, I think it's just because, they were rooting for us or whatever. And but that was part of it. Like, we wanted it to be local, and I still think that's one of the things I'm most proud of that we accomplished, honestly.
Yeah.
One thing that's fun about the movie is, I won't reveal what it is, but there's a twist.
There is.
And that makes for a very good movie. So that's exciting. And
Well, that was another thing. Someone reached out to me. We were talking about themes. Someone reached out to me recently and gave me a whole other different theme than what we're talking about. And basically was like, I just love that, your message about violence begetting violence. And I was like, oh,
it's all
okay.
in there. It's all
read a
intentional.
different theme
It's all
and then
intentional.
was in your mind.
Yeah, the twist is super fun because we did a premiere at the Alamo a couple months ago, Alamo Draft House, and I sat next to Gabrielle Reyes, who is the lead, and she's incredible. But I have forgotten that not all of the actors were there all the time.
Right.
And so there were certain reveals where she was like, wait, what?
that was super fun. I mean, we forgot because we watched the movie so many times.
And we were on set every day.
Yeah.
They were only there when they had to work.
The cast had never seen the movie put together, so it was so much fun at the premiere, and the cast themselves going like, "Oh my god!"
I didn't know that was the. I was like, "Yep, yeah." So yeah, that was super fun.
It was exciting for even the people in it.
Yeah.
So what will your next project be?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's smaller.
Yeah, I mean, we have ideas for smaller sort of ghost movies. I have a dream of the finale too that honestly we sort of joke is really kind of about the three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Just because I know we're available.
Yeah. Right.
These kids are growing up. They're moving away.
That's right. They're moving away.
We're here. And I mean, all of us are at some point still in some ways in different capacities doing theater around town, and Christie directs all over the place, and Max and I co-wrote a musical, despite our fact that we make fun of musicals so much.
Right.
Co-wrote a musical with our friend Cameron Cobb that has been done and
dare we say might get
I
another
don't want to get in
run?
trouble, but might get done again. So
Yeah, we might see another staging of that.
And what was that called?
That was called Pompeii.
Yeah.
I loved Pompeii.
So-
I'm not kidding you. When I left Pompeii, I was like almost crying. I could not believe
It
how
was so
excellent
good.
it was.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you.
Thank
So-
It overwhelmed me.
Oh, that's
yeah.
It was so good.
Michael.
So that's hopefully some things and I don't movies we learned a lot goes into. I know that sounds so naive. A lot goes into making movies, guys.
There's just
There's a huge part of it is obviously financial, but there's so many things. So I think we all have things we want to do, and it's like, do we have the time, money, and putting the logistics together? But I have faith that we'll get something.
Yeah, it was
Is
kind
there
of
a way to
films.
fundraise for something like that? Is that a GoFundMe type project?
This is how we got started. We created a GoFundMe page for this and just kept pushing it out there. And I remember the day that we reached our goal.
Yeah.
This was before Max got involved, but we reached our goal on the GoFundMe. We were determined to make the movie no matter what. It was going to be done on an iPhone. It was going to be done on something. We were going to make this movie. Thank
1986
God it wasn't.
camcorder.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God we were like, maybe we should talk to Max.
But when we finally reached our goal and we looked at each other and we're like, oh my God, we're gonna make this movie. And it went from being this kind of dream in the ether to concrete, and exactly where we belonged. Both of us knew for a long time that this is what we wanted to do. And then it was of course, we were surprised, and then immediately, of course we're making a movie.
That's
Of
what we're
course
doing.
it's going to happen. This is what we're doing.
And then it gets real.
It's what we do now.
Right.
And then it's like, who's going to do what now?
We're going to make a movie.
Who's doing
How
that?
do we do this?
What is that?
I mean, and I think one of the best parts of it, at least for me, and I know I didn't have nearly the responsibility that y'all had on set. I just had to say cop lines that I wrote
That he
and
wrote
could
for
just
himself.
change if I wanted.
Right. That's right.
But it was great for me just to see just behind the scenes of how much more comfortable and effective we all sort of got as a team as we moved on, like as we moved along. And we had a lot of people helping us who were a lot more experienced behind the camera and stuff. But it was great. Like by the end, I feel like we were like, yeah, we could do this.
Yeah, some of the film folks were not some of them, all of them, but some of the film folks that I became close to and have remained very close with since we wrapped on the movie, taught me so much. Like I will forever, ever, ever be grateful to them for jumping on board and just kind of like from the very first day, getting behind this crazy idea. On the first day that
With
we
these
shot.
theater people and how could they know
Yeah.
anything and what they're doing?
And that first day I was
very quickly-
alone. And so I had to win them over on that first day because he had a gig and Brandon had a gig and Max had a gig. I was like, I'm alone with these film people. And
They're terrifying.
They got on board and then they were teaching me how to do it as we were going along, you know. It was, I will forever be grateful to them.
What you said, Christie, about, hey, if we had to, we were going to make it on our phone. I mean, in modern times, we can do a lot more ourselves.
Sure.
Right? We don't have to have a movie studio decide we're
Right.
going to make a movie. What would your advice be to someone who's watching this who says, I want to make a movie? What would your advice be?
Start with a good script, no matter what, like a story, like, or if you're a photographer, filmmaker, person yourself, and you have a vision, an idea, or a specific style you want to go after, and partner up, collaborate with others.
Hire
It's
Michael.
One of the things, well, yeah.
He can help you write it.
One of the things about film, it's incredibly, I mean, all these arts are collaborative, but it's you have to hand it off into each of these different people's hands, and then they do stuff with it, and then you hand all that over to sound people, and then the colorist, and then the editor, so it's, the football is bouncing around and from group to group, so I'd say finding those elements and the people you want to work with, and then worry about the money or how you're going to pay for it and all that, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately what made everybody want to get on board.
It's a good idea.
It wasn't the money. Nobody cared about that.
Yeah.
It was, is this going to be any good? Do we like these people? Ooh, this is a good script. Or, oh, I like, and it all started with that. I mean, I saw their little Seed and Spark GoFundMe?
Seed and Spark.
Seed and
Seed and
Spark?
Spark, yeah.
I guess what it calls. And that's what finally spurred me to jump to action because they leapt first. You know what I mean? They had already had the script, they already had the cast, and it was all these actors that I loved from the theater scene, and was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, and him and her. And,
There's one particular scene in the movie that we shot where we have someone, Joel Farrell, who's an amazing director, choreographer, dancer, Dallas, Fort Worth boy. When we shot that scene, I think that was the day when the film crew really, really, really were like, oh, these people are serious. Because there's a whole scene where he's dancing. And they were just blown away by him. And we're like, all right, we're going to get on board with this. These people are talented.
This is legit.
Yeah.
I agree with Max. Like, to me, it's like, is it to tell a story you want to tell? Like, while you can, like if it's the movie you're going to make, before you blow up and you're dealing with other people telling you what you can and can't do, tell a story you want to tell with the people you want to tell it. Like, that was...
Make that first movie.
Yeah. And then go from there. But and like you said, there are different ways people can shoot now that we definitely couldn't in the past. And while we didn't use our phones, I think I'm really happy with the route we went.
Oh, yes.
And I, to this day, am like, I think the movie looks fantastic.
yeah, shout out to John Collins, who was the cinematographer and editor of the film. And he kind of helped us. We all had to kind of go through film school together a little bit as we went along, There was certain terminology, certain things that that were new to us, of course, and that we had to communicate with him. So he did a great job of kind of helping us along the way.
They were really great about, because I direct for stage, and so really kind of adapting how you translate like stage directing language to movie directing language. And like once I got the hang of that, I was like, oh, I know how to.
Oh yeah.
I know how to talk to them, like I know what to ask for. But at first it was a little bit nerve-wracking. I think my advice is like make that first movie, however you're gonna make it. The important thing about a first movie is that it's the first movie and it has to be made. And then you're off and running.
Okay, so back to Terror and Tacos. How does someone find Terror and Tacos?
Terror and Tacos is, it's just a podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple and wherever you find your podcasts. Yeah, and it's really us just talking about horror movies and tacos.
We've been on a little bit of a hiatus because we're both so busy right now, but we have
it's out there.
We have a good chunk of episodes that you can binge on. And it's just us sitting around eating tacos and talking about our favorite horror movies.
And I know that the way to find the finale is on Amazon.
Yes.
Streaming. Are there other platforms?
Apple as well. And Vudu, VUDU.
You do that voodoo that you do so well.
And we have right here the picture to look for. So if you went to Amazon and you put in the finale, this is what you want to see.
This is the thumbnail.
The creepy kind of Harlequin.
And it will, I think, also say starring Gabrielle Reyes and Madison Calhoun.
Oh,
so
excellent.
If that's...
And that just something else to mention is that also the look of the what do you call it, of the figure? The look of the figure.
The figure is what I call it in the script.
Created by some amazing theater artisans in town that they did out of the goodness of their heart because they like us. And they were so excited about it that they were like, we're going to create the look for it. So, and they did such an amazing job with the costume and the handmade masks and all that stuff.
So one theme I'm hearing throughout this conversation is, don't be a jerk, because if people like you, they might actually help you when you need it.
Yeah, I think that's good advice for anything, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's really true.
Life lesson.
Yeah, and I know we're trying to wrap up. I'm just babbling, but like even for all of us who have been acting, the three of us have been acting so long, there are a lot of really talented people in the world, and at least in my case, I know there are people who are much more talented than I am. But I feel like I'm generally pretty cool to work with when I do stuff, at least now that I'm older. And I think that's a huge part of it. And even with making this, like we just went and asked people we really love working with. So yeah, be cool. Be cool. Like is my advice.
In my viewpoint, and it has always been in any endeavor, is if you help other people, like all boats can rise together, right? This isn't the only movie. So if someone else is making a movie, we can help them. It's not going to hurt our movie, right?
Yeah.
It only helps our city.
Right.
Yeah. There was another friend, associate, kind of a friend of mine that put out a film almost the same time ours came out.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Called The Woman Under the Stage, and it's another horror movie kind of based around the theater. Now, different camps of people, different ideas.
Very different styles.
Very different styles, made at different times. But they happened to just kind of come out at the same time. And they were kind enough to share info about our film, and they didn't get all ego-y about it.
No, it's great.
So, and we all reciprocate the same. So I think what's good for one would be good for all of us, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's our advice, world.
I feel like we've solved it.
Be the kind of person that you want to work with.
Exactly. Show up, take care of your business, know your lines, whatever your part is.
That was one thing that the theater actors got marks for from the crew, because they were like, wow, they all know all of the lines.
The crew, one of the crew members came up to me and said, where did you find these actors? And I said, well, they're my friends, and some of them are my students, but they're mostly all my friends, all stage actors. They're like, they know their lines.
Yeah.
And they were shocked.
They have to memorize a lot more than this.
Yeah.
And treat everybody with respect on set.
Right.
Like, hey, this is like basic stuff.
Kindergarten lessons.
Yeah, kindergarten lessons.
Lesson I learned from Max. This is I'm not even joking. It is worth spending on food.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
If you keep people fed.
Yes, you got to feed them well and not just have potato chips and pizza every
Back
time.
to the basics, right?
Yeah.
If we have food.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
It's the true thing. It's a real thing.
And
Yeah, that's part of one of the biggest parts of the budget was just the meal.
And I think totally worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally, absolutely worth it.
Absolutely worth it.
So
Yeah, man.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
wish you all the success with
Thank
the
you so
finale.
much,
I
Melinda.
can
Thank
vouch
you.
that it's great. I'm not a horror movie genre person, generally speaking.
This is true.
And I loved it.
oh well,
I think
Thank
it's
you.
got something for everyone.
I do too. Thank you all so much for being on
Thanks,
the show
Melinda.
today.
Thanks so much
having
for
us.
having
Thanks for
us.
having us.
And that is a wrap, to use some theater language. The Melinda Eitzen Show today.